Assalamu alaikum, I am Yasir Zaid and I will be taking you through the first four chapters of the book, The Metaverse by Matthew Balls. So, coming to the first chapter, A Brief History of Future, author discusses how the coin metaverse was first of all coined. So, he coined these terms in 1992. By then, his concept was quite vivid of the actual what it was going to be. But Jeff Bezos was inspired by his work and created the second largest tech company, which is Blue Origin. Two founders at the Google Earth were also inspired by the same concept. He also worked at the Magic Leap and raised $6.7 million. But his death just made everything collapse. And others were also inspired by the concept, the crypto, the CGI. These whole things started with his concept of metaverse. Now, coming to how the term evolved, in 1935, there was an author named Stanley G. Winbaum who had his work Pygmalion Spectacle, in which he introduced a similar concept. In 1950, Ray Bradbury, in his work The Wealth, introduced a very similar concept in which there was something to do with the construction of the walls. In 1953, Philip K. Dick wrote the work The Trouble with the Bubble, in which he introduced the term worldcraft. Then Jean Baudrillard in Hyperreality, William Gibson in Neuromancer introduced the term cyberspace that also went viral. Then Lana and Lily in the Matrix movie 1999 also introduced a similar concept. Now, in all these works, uh, the reason for the creation of the metaverse was always collaboration, creativity, and self-expression, and it was never subjugation and profiteering. So, which is one of the things about the metaverse which raises alarm, especially among the giants like Google and the Facebook. Now, coming to the evolution, how the technology started to evolve and how we are standing in front of the metaverse now. In 1950, mainframe was invented, which people claim was the digital metaverse. Then we have multi-user dungeons. MUDs was introduced. It was a game. Then we had MUX. We had Commodore 64 game. Then Web Worlds, another game. Active Worlds, Online Traveler also went pretty viral. Then we had Keyhole, which was known for a very short period of time, but then it was converted linked to the bigger database of Google and then converted to Google Earth. So after that, in 2003 there was a game created Second Life, in which there was also a virtual presence. It was not for the gaming reason, but there was a virtual presence of BBC, Adidas, and Wells Fargo. After that, in 2007 there was a currency launch of Linden dollar currency, 55 million dollar, $55 million of which was cashed out into the real world currency. After that, Minecraft and Roblox introduced their games, and they had virtual cities, hospitals, museum, literally the size of the Las Vegas. And in 2021 there were 115 million users using Minecraft and 225 million users using Roblox. After that, now coming to the impact what that technology had. So first of all, Fortnite held a concert in 2020. It was by Stuart, and 28 million people attended it live. Now, the song that was released during that concert became the third largest ever by the end of that year, and official video also got 200 million views on YouTube. And there was another game introduced by the name of Adopt Me, in which you hatch a virtual pet and you raise it and then you sell it to people. Now, it had 30 billion visits, which is quite a large number. This is 15 times larger than the global tourism rate we have. Now, coming to the users pattern, in 1998, AOL had 12 million users. In 2008, Facebook had 100 million users. In 2021, Facebook had 3 billion users. Hence, it is an exponential growth pattern, uh, coming to how much users are getting access to the internet and using it. After that, coming to the fight for the metaverse controls, we don't exactly know what metaverse is going to be, but what we do know is the control factors written here: hardware, technical standard, tools, content, digital wallets, and virtual identity. And can businesses control it? Well, AT&T and AOL tried to do that, but they failed, and US sued Microsoft for bundling Internet Explorer with the Windows. So anyone till date whoever tried to control it failed. So, is Metaverse the expected corporate internet? Well, maybe. It's the reason for building it is of course the commerce, data collection, advertising, and virtual product sale. And we have Metcalfe's law that states that value of a network is directly proportional to square of the number of users the network has. Now, how are the giants like Apple and others going to secure themselves from these changes their users are going to go for? So, while they have adopted closing ecosystems, but they have bundled their services, shuttered down their partners so that they no longer have access to their systems. They have stipulated the competing standards uh, and other steps just to eliminate anyone else accompanying the market they are in. So, what's lagging in this is the user's ownership of the digital identity. Okay, what should we expect is going to be in Metaverse? Of course, we are expecting data rights, security, the control over misinformation, radicalization, platform power, regulation, abuse, and user happiness. So, is it going to be good or bad? The question about any new technology that we get. So, of course, it depends on the philosophies, culture, and priorities, and it's a political choice whether we convert it into the whether we take it to the positive side or the negative side. It's not the choice of the inventors or the creator. It's totally the political and philosophical choices. Now, that's all for the chapter 1. Now we will move to the chapter 2, which is confusion and uncertainty. Now, so everyone is defining metaverse based on what they already have. So right here we have platforms like Microsoft, Facebook, Epic, Match Group, Tencent, Alibaba, ByteDance, etc. Now, here are the technologies they possess. For example, Microsoft has these technologies right here. Facebook has these divisions in Oculus, sales and investment, virtual reality. Epic has Fortnite, Match Group has Tinder, Hinge, OkCupid, and similarly, we have so coming to their definitions that they have. Uh, Microsoft defines it as a platform that would turn entire world into an app-based canvas. That's of course because they have lots of apps. And Facebook is defining it immersive virtual reality connecting individuals, and that is because they have this Oculus and they are related to connecting of people. Now coming to the Epic, it explains it like expensive digitized communal space like Fortnite's playground, and that's of course because they have procured some people playing Fortnite and etc. And after that we have Match Group, which is defining it as the either of get to know process, and that's of course because they make people uh, make social contacts or different whatever they do. So everyone is defining it as per their own ease or whatever they possess. Now, coming to the rising debates that we have, is augmented reality really going to be the part of metaverse? Is immersive virtual reality really a part of it, or just an improved experience that people are getting? Is it just a concept for decentralized internet? Will it be controlled by a single company? Is cross platform engine like Unity a solution for decentralization? Well, Facebook did not comment on the private ownership of metaverse, but Roblox and Microsoft continuously state metaverses, the word which means there will be more than one metaverses. Now coming to the early stage definition, in most of the early stage definition, how we define anything is by its outcomes and possibilities, and that's true. That was the case with the internet, as the internet's definition of the Wikipedia's definition of internet includes the technical standards, scopes, and the use cases for the internet. Now, uh, what can we include in definition? Of course, we'll include what the potential of metaverse is going to be, and of course, we cannot identify the technology exactly, and we cannot exactly identify the timing at that when it's going to come, the exact change. But since it's a weird concept, so the interpretation by the business models and related devices will continue to be the topic of debate, since there are no proof for anything. So now coming to the adoption of technology on time and maybe ignoring it. So the best example we have is the Windows Phone. It misjudged the technology and its impact, especially in case of Windows Phone. So Microsoft made the following mistake in case of the Windows mobiles. It misread the important feature, which was touchscreen, which they thought people would not adopt, and then platform business model. They thought people are buying operating system while they wanted the app stores and services, and they did not get the right role of the device, extent of appeal, people, how much people would love it, optimal price point, that will people be able to afford in that price bracket or not, as did the iPhone, and they failed to judge it as for the personal use. They were just identifying it for the office use. So first iPhone release was laughed on by the CEO, but a decade later they had to pack up and Windows Phone had to discontinue. Okay. After that, Apple launched a campaign called "There's an app for that," in which they launched their whole Apple Store. Facebook also introduced their app, which was just a thin client in which HTML5 could load, and the basic feed was just fed into it. But they noticed that their feed was increasing 2 times, so they developed an app 2 years later, which improved their advertising share from 5% to 23%. So it is an effective case study that they turned on time and made a profit out of it. Now, there is an other thing. Not in every case the adoption of technology is a success, but here fiber optic capacity was miscalculated and many people laid it down in US and worldwide. So what happened was only 5% of it was used. The negative impacts was Metro Media Fiber Network, KPN Quest and 360 Networks went bankrupt. But for now, what the positive impact is, it is contributing to the digital economy of the US, and it is enabling the high bandwidth and low latency infrastructure cost. Well, Quest and William were other companies that were laying the fiber optics, but they barely escaped the bankruptcy. So, in conclusion, we can say that best early definitions are the one more general in nature. New technologies go through recursive innovation to produce the best version because it depends on how the society is going to react and respond to the technology. So, the best one can do is stick to the general idea of the metaverse and be the one to define its direction. Now, coming to the chapter 3 of the book, a definition, finally. So, this is the definition Matthew Ball states: a massively scaled interoperable network of real-time rendered 3D virtual worlds that can be experienced synchronously and persistently by effectively unlimited number of users with an individual sense of presence and with the continuity of data such as identity, history, entitlement, objects, communication, and payments. Seems tough, but each part of it needs a separate definition. Now, coming to what the virtual worlds are, it might be the one like we have in the games. It can be 3D, 2D, 2.5D, and the one of the reason virtual world is mainly related to games is because first of all new technologies without logics are introduced into games. So virtual worlds might maintain the changes the user makes or reset for the experience of the user each time. So ease of access of virtual worlds defines the success of the model. Now the next point we have is the 3D. So we all know what 3D is, but we all the giants, not us, agree on the point that it will be part of metaverse. Because humans seek lifelike experience online, and when they find it comforting, then they shift their real lives into it, spending more time online. So obviously the next generation step for the internet is going to be 3D, and I must say virtual reality might or might not be the part of it. Now coming to the next part, which is real time rendered. This is the complex part, since we have to render a virtual world at the same time to so many users. We have an example of Monster University, which is a movie. It used 2000 industrial computers and 24,000 cores to process a single frame in 7 seconds, and the total of their frames was 120,000 plus. So nobody has that much computational power. So but real-time rendering is necessary for the lifelike experiences, and you have to render 30 to 120 frames per second for a lifelike experience, which is not possible for now. And after that, the interoperable networks. So internet adopted TCP, the internet protocol suite, and IP addresses. That this is whole managed by internet engineering task force, which ensures that everybody follows the standards, and it was mostly voluntarily adopted by everyone, which in turn led to the same internet usage by everyone. So but in case of virtual worlds, we have different rendering engines, different formats, making coherent, scale, comprehensive inter-platform communication for now is just impossible because everybody has a separate definition of a 3D for the engines. And the process of standardization is quite messy, complicated, and long for 3D worlds. So we'll have to wait a bit, but the process is still quite exciting and continues to expand. Coming to how massively scaled it's supposed to be. Since it's supposed to generate all the possibilities uh, of whatever is going to happen and pre-calculate all frames, so it might have sub networks like internet today, but it is going to have a social, economical, cultural, and safety limitations too, just like our internet has today. Since on earth we cannot transport everything that is human made from one place to other place, since it has social, economical, cultural, and safety limitations, and even if we transport it to other planets, it won't be a lifelike situation there. So just like that, we are going to have limitations in the metaverse, of course, and it will eventually be adopted by everyone but when it comes, but for now we lack the technology. Now coming to the persistence. So what persistence is? Persistence is what is going how long is the digital footprint of the user going to last. Whatever they did, are those changes going to be reflected to other users within the virtual world? Well, that's a very long debate, and to what things should be sustained and what should not be is another debate. For example, Fortnite resets its virtual environment after 25 to 30 minutes, but Online Eve, which is another game, intergalactic sort of game, retains all the changes and shows it to the rest of users. However, it does not affect the rest of the virtual world. Now coming to how synchronous the environments are going to be. So for our virtual environment to be synchronous, we need high bandwidth, low latency, and sustained uninterrupted connections. But for now, what we do is we send the data packets before time. Even Netflix sends the 30-second of the video before time to the user's node, so that they continue to experience that's a lifelike experience, but it's not live. It's sent with a delay or some other tactics that they use. And other live experiences like Zoom, Google Meet, and MS Teams are not working for the virtual world solution. Now, Border Gateway Protocol requires revision to prioritize real-time experiences. Now, what Border Gateway Protocol is? Border Gateway Protocol basically regularizes the information and the path the things are going to follow. Now, it will have to be revised to prioritize the virtual world data, the real-time data, versus the data that can be static. Now, coming to how unlimited users and virtual presence is, what scale have we achieved that for now? So for now, all we can do is we can incorporate 50 to 150 concurrent users within the simulation. That's the maximum we can do for now, and accompanying the whole world, that would be quite a huge task. So even the concert I talked about earlier, which was attended by 28 million, it was not subsequently attended. It was the 250,000 copies of Scott, which were made into the individual servers and distributed to the rest of the users. So it was not, and it was not even on the same time. So it was not live, to be technically correct. Now coming to what's missing. What have we got missing here is we have not discussed what's the linkage of Web3 going to be, because it has no association with 3D or synchronous rendering. So both are independent concepts. They cannot be discussed together, and people still believe that Web3 is just a facade ownership and it's not a real ownership instead, and people don't own it. So question of whether the central servers or privately owned servers can compensate requirement of infinite world scale metaverse, for now, no. Now coming to the chapter 4, the new internet. So as the metaverse requires, these are the steps that we'll have to take to enable the metaverse. As the metaverse requires the development of new infrastructure, overhauling of IPS, adoption of novel devices, hardware, alteration of power balance between provider and user, just like how Google and Facebook operate within internet, delivering their individual technical stack, many creators will have to co-op to create metaverse, which is the collective enablement of usage of the necessary resources. Now coming to the last part, which is video. Why are video games a driving factor for this? Well, that's because games don't have physical constraints and they are just made for fun. So, whatever computation power you have, it may be 4 bit, 8 bit, they can still be fun. And after they mature over the period, they are turned into the real world simulation. That's what NVIDIA did, and gaming giants struggled through the real time rendering challenges since 90s. They have been dealing with this whole virtual world thing since they were the first ones to create it, and they are the ones most experienced in it. And information is replacing hardware with data. So information is replacing the hardware over time, which means we don't go in the real world projects and things like that. We just run the things and assume the values within the simulations. That's all for the 4 chapters of the book. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.